It's great to talk to you. So what I want to do is get yours and Long and Foster's assessment of the national real estate market. Let's start there, and then we'll talk about the local mid-Atlantic real estate market.
All right. Well, as you know, we're mostly in the Mid-Atlantic region, Long and Foster. However, we belong to Home Services of America, which is everywhere in the nation. So we have a pretty good idea and feel of what's going on out there. And what we're seeing right now is what everybody's seeing and what everybody's hearing in the news is low inventory, never slowed up during the holidays. The market was just fueled because of the low inventory. There's a high demand of buyers out there, all going after the same properties, and just a lot of frustration for the buyers. A lot of shock though with the pandemic, the way it was, and how the market, how we all reacted. We just never saw a day where we stopped doing business. I know a lot of people had gone remotely at home, where I was in the office every single day, having sales coming in, having wires sent to from the settlement companies and everything. We just did not stop through this pandemic. Although I will say, yes, the inventory was less, but the agents were out there working extra hard, especially if they were dealing with buyers, because every time they were out there, even, right out of the gate. I mean, March of last year, obviously there was a little bit of a slowdown or a pause, especially for the condominium market or what have you. But the rest of the market, everybody was out there trying to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah. Guy, when you look at, so I want to tackle the inventory in a second. Let's talk about some mortgage rates, because mortgage rates for most of 2020, very low. We've seen them, I think, creep up recently, maybe recede back. How has the mortgage rates impacted refinances and home buying?
Well, the 2020, the refi business was booming. Obviously, people were taking money out in a more conservative way, obviously, than it was in 2003 to 2007, where we saw a lot of refis. In fact, it was twice the amount of refis done back in that time period. If you remember, there was a lot more loose regulations with the mortgage industry, but now, obviously the refis, and everybody was taking advantage of the under 3% and seeing if they could get up, as close to 2% as possible. And so a lot of refis happened, a lot of people taking out cash out refis to do work to their homes or what have you, but not losing the amount of equity that we saw happening. And once again, before the bubble of 2007, and so refis were big. The purchases, buyers were definitely trying to take advantage of that. Again, we have very strong buyers out there. However, you have sometimes as many as 10, 15 buyers on average competing for one property, which is, definitely, the houses are selling as soon as they hit the market. The average days on the market in our areas are around 7. The median days or the average days are about 30. The median days are around 7 days on the market. So you're definitely feeling the blunt of this, and people are in such seeking out these properties that everybody's going out trying to do creative ways to find sellers and find properties, because the inventory is just not there. So we're seeing a lot of ways to get a little bit creative, sometimes getting too creative out in the market. So but again, when there's this kind of competition out there, to try to find buyers' homes, you're seeing a lot of ways to try to make that happen for their clients.
Guy, you mentioned that the lack of inventory, it's something that we've seen nationally. Are you seeing home starts increase in your neck of the woods in the Mid-Atlantic area? Are you seeing builders, building developments? Is there developments going on in the Baltimore County area where you are?
Yes, I mean, there's definitely building. In fact, that we could use more building because of the fact that we're not having the foreclosures like we would have had. And actually we have an group of people that are older now staying in their homes longer. They're spending money fixing up their houses. They have the equity and they have the cash available to do that. The builders are selling them right away, but now they notice that the this, the ability to build right now because of the cost and the inflation of lumber and everything else is actually they're having to reevaluate what they're pricing their homes for. But we are seeing that around the DC, Virginia areas. Some areas there's just not a lot of places to build. So, but the ones that are out there, absolutely, they're selling, and it's amazing what the buyers are willing to accept right now. And because it is the supply is so low and the demand so high that it's the sellers can choose to put down whatever they want. They can make sure that there's no appraisals, no contingencies on home inspections, which definitely put people at risk. But it's amazing as we continue to struggle with the supply and demand factor, what buyers have been willing to accept right now, that they went since the last bust, being a lot more, conservative about their approach to buying a house. But what we're seeing right now, everything's out the window.
Yeah, last question for this segment, Guy. In terms of, we saw a lot of people, move out of the larger cities and kind of relocate to some of these these other, suburban areas to kind of get out of the wave of COVID. Maybe they were thinking about moving because they wanted to start a family. Maybe the pandemic kind of just accelerated that move. When you look at the types, the ages of people, are you seeing certain generations of people move, or is it really just a cross section of America? It's mature. It's people middle aged like myself, younger demographic.
Well, we have everything out there right now. I think we've seen the millennials who have been sitting back, and millennials are up to 40 now or whatever. So you're seeing them turning around and now purchasing. They have the money. They're willing to spend more money than the generations before, as far as if they want the in-ground pool put in right away, if they want that perfect kitchen. They don't wait to have what they want. So you're seeing that going on. You're also seeing that a lot of the workforce is now remote, or at least 80% remote. And the fact that they're now going out to the suburbs and other areas. Like I just saw in Austin, they were, yes, Austin's crazy, Austin, Texas, which is not my area, but I'm saying they're going further out to buy a home because they don't have to be in the city areas. The same with our areas. We're seeing people going out up to the PA borders or inside of PA or Whitehall or whatever, and they're not as concerned. They can go to, if they're working inside of DC, now they only have to go there 20% of the time versus 80% of the time. And that is affecting the way they purchase. And we're seeing those prices go up. When I saw that people before with the first, with the 2004, 2005 and 6, when people were buying and they couldn't buy inside close to the city, in the suburbs around the cities, they were going out reaching because they couldn't get anything else. And we also saw that those prices changed drastically when the market went back down. But this time, if the technology is there, if there's a change in mindset as to where you can work, those that are going further out into the rural areas, that might be the new norm. So we may not see that drop in prices dramatically like we saw the last time when they were going out further and further and getting that new home that was isolated or took a long time to get to that next metropolitan area.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think this is certainly a trend to watch. The work from home certainly has shifted things, and I think it's going to really be indicative of the migration of Americans around the country. Guy, I want to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Guy and get some of his tips for buying and selling real estate in 2021. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking to Guy Sabatino of Long & Foster Real Estate. Guy, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Great to be here.
So, we talked about this national real estate market here in the U.S. We talked about it in the Mid-Atlantic. Let's get some tips for buyers and sellers, knowing that there's a lack of inventory, knowing that, housing starts, they're starting houses, but we're not yet there to matching that deficit of what's available. What are some of the tips that you recommend to clients of your agency?
Okay, with the situation with the sellers and buyers, clearly there's a different topic going on here because it's such an extreme seller's market that we're in right now. We are prepping our buyers, getting them to figure out what their strengths are before they go out and start the house hunting process. We want to make sure they understand what their total cash outlay is going to be for the house, not just a down payment, what have you. They need to understand that this isn't for the weak at heart with the bot making the purchase. This is going to be a dog-eat-dog situation when you're going out to compete with these properties. So if this is not your climate to buy a house, we warn them of that because they're going to go out there and they're going to do things that we've never seen in order to compete and win, especially in certain markets. I mean, it's a seller's market almost everywhere in our region, but it's definitely certain houses. Like I said, when they hit the market, people are doing sight unseens as soon as they see it coming soon. So it's not active, it's not available to be seen. They get word of the property. They are already writing offers, escalation clauses, going well beyond the price, turning around and removing the appraisal contingency, removing the home inspections, saying they can have free rent backs, giving earnest money deposits, which are the money ahead of time to say, I'm very serious about buying this house, which is a risk to our clients. I mean, and we actually make them sign contingency disclosure forms, understanding the risk of some of these things they're doing. Because after they settle and after the dust settles down, they go, wow, what did I just do? I wanted to, not that they didn't want to buy the house, but they know they gave up, had to give up a lot to get that property. Now, we're not seeing, and that's the other thing, the forecast. Some people are saying there's going to be a bust, the inflation's going to go up. If the interest rates go up a little bit, this $1.9 trillion has to affect something. But others are saying, no, we didn't sell as many houses as we were anticipating in 2020. The demand is out there. There's the millennials, there's the other people staying put in their houses and just fixing them up. There's the foreclosures and distress sales that aren't hitting the market. Some are saying aren't going to hit the market till January of 2022. So if that's the case, we see a strong 2021, 2022. So if they're going to purchase and they're serious about it right now, they have to be willing to understand what that means. So we have a lot of education we're doing to our clients right now, so they understand it. As for the sellers, we have to let them know we're going to put the house on the market. This is what we're going to do for the marketing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be competitive. And there is buyer's remorse out there sometimes. They get in, they do these sight unseens, they get into the property and they realize, wow, this house is going to take more work than we thought to fix it up or whatever in certain cases. And those houses do go back on the market. So some of our strategies are to really pay attention, be the backup offer, pay attention to see if that house is going to hit back on the market and be ready to pull the trigger. It's just very interesting. Like I said, I've been through this market. I've been managing offices since 2000, been in it since the mid 90s. But even the seller's market of the past is not like the seller's market right now. And we know we have the pandemic variable was definitely one of the features that slowed up some sales and would have naturally occurred in, March and April of last year.
Guy, you mentioned the risks of buying sight unseen or waiving some of these contingencies. Are you seeing, I guess you're seeing property owners just not even do micro repairs or, just repairing a roof that typically you would do, when you were putting your property on the market, right? You would make, you pretty up your property and you make sure that because you would have an inspection, a home inspection, you would see the roof get improved, or you'd have water damage in a bathroom or something get improved. I mean, does that make buyers nervous?
It's very interesting. I mean, the training and the prepping I did, educating agents and saying, look, we need to have these HGTV looking houses. That was 6 months before the pandemic. And I was telling a client of ours, I had to meet for one of my agents, and we sat down and we went over everything. And I said, look, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do to match your flooring. This is what you have to do to your bathrooms, whatever. And now, if you have a client who has a house that's been dinged up because it's a big family and they're just not fixing the house up or whatever, and their pets are destroying it or whatever, they're still going to buy it. It's insane, the difference. Now, does it get the optimal price? No. So we weigh it out, and you weigh out, all right, if I put $30,000 into it, is it really going to get me $45,000? Before in a down market, we were just fixing up houses sometimes to make sure it would get under contract quicker than the others. Maybe not that they were going to get dollar per dollar on the fix up of the issue that we're talking about, the repair issue. But in this market, you're absolutely right, Jeff. If we have someone that doesn't have the means, although we have products out there now that'll allow us to get repairs done, and because the equity does exist, they can actually sell their house and then pay those vendors after the repair is done. But for the most part, if they want to put it on as is, there's plenty of, you've got not only the regular traditional buyers, you've got more flippers out there, more investors out there, more people willing and having the equity to take that house. And the thing that's amazing now is when these buyers are getting beat out, they go to their family members, and now family members are much more willing to help out the millennials that are buying now than we saw back in, once again, the last big sellers market.
Yeah, well, maybe they don't want them to come live with them.
They might have had them down the basement so long they were ready to send them off. So
yeah, I agree with you. Well, Guy, we're going to have to leave it there. There's so much more to uncover and follow with this market. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jeff. Take care. Have a great day.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, then drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. And of course, our website. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired of the same.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money?